My first job as an actor on the screen was with TVNZ as Children of Fire Mountain. I was an actor, and it was the first job I got basically from drama school. And I got out in the set, and I didn't know what the hell was going on. I just did it, and it was wonderful. Peter Sharp was the director, and he was fantastic. Great TVNZ drama crew, and I just got hooked on this. What on earth is happening here? And of course, from a boy from Tokoroa, it was pretty much a breakthrough sort of thing. And then some years later, I met up with Peter, and I was looking for a new job. And I'd been an actor for some years, and I thought it'd be really good to be on the other side of the camera. So I got a job as a TPA in Avalon, which is a television producer's assistant. Actually, it was called a script girl at the time, and I was one of the first male script girls. And then because of the theatre background, they were really keen on getting me to train as a TV director, because most of the TV directors at that time had come through the technology side of it, and instead of from the acting side. And there was quite a number of us that went into TVNZ at the time who were from the acting fraternity. And we made an incredible difference on the drama that TVNZ was making. I was making Country GP, which was a fantastic breakthrough series set up in the valley above Upper Hutt. And The Seekers and Peppermint Twist, and wonderful things, Jeanette MacDonald, Peter Sharp again, and all sorts of wonderful, Chris Bailey, wonderful directors, wonderful actors, and just getting the New Zealand drama on screen. I did a lot of Shortland St directing in the early days, working with actors, training actors, and then developing my own productions out of that. Livingstone is actually named after my mother and her family. Livingstone, we're Scottish. David Livingstone is a relation, and we're from a Scottish clan. My family immigrated in the 60s. So I had three muses. My three aunties, they're all Livingstones, and one was a nurse, my mother was a dancer, and my other auntie was a musician. And the brother that survived the war was a technology guy who worked for Telecom, so to speak, in British Telecom, and he made the first TV set I ever saw. He actually made it with valves. It was fantastic. That was one of my early images of TV and the technology of this glass bowl, glass picture, and all these valves behind it. So I found it really easy making gay stuff because I fell in love when I was 24, and so when people fall in love, it's just got to do it. You just got to do it. And it just so happened I fell in love with this wonderful Māori man, and we spent 8 years together, and it was just fantastic. Still a good friend of mine, and we're still very close. But working in the theatre, there was never any problem, and because there was no problem for me, it doesn't seem to be a problem for other people around me. I hear now from other people around me at the time that I get back that there was some problems there. Funnily enough, I never saw them. We were standing outside a bar called Surrender Dorothy's in Ponsonby Road with Bettina Hollings. And we were watching the first hero parade go past. And we were all so excited. We had taken over, it was the second one actually, it was the first one in Ponsonby Road. And Bettina said, "We've got to have this on telly." She said, "Make it." I went, "Oh, okay then." So I put together the team to do it, and we did it from the roof of where is now a bar at the top of Franklin Road. And we did it with the Top Twins as hosting it. And it's still a wonderful show. Wonderful, wonderful show. The first time I came across Queer Nation, Andrew Whiteside and I were having coffee, and he was saying they've got this opportunity to do this show. How do you think we should do it? And so I gave him a couple of, so I'd do it, but really I haven't got time. Why don't you just get on and do it? So him and Nettie Kinmont and Libby McGee got together, and they did a fantastic job of with the regional program, I think it was, and that's when I became involved. To develop it from doing small series into doing a full professional office. And so Livingstone bought the rights from Rebecca Nolan, who had been the producer of it under Big Sky, and worked with Nettie and Libby and Andrew to develop a format for the show that would be sustainable in a professional environment. So we set up our office and got the researchers in, and started making Queer Nation programs, queer people making queer stories about ourselves. And it was great. It was just very adventurous. I think one of the major things was that it became a regular thing on the air. We did our first series was for 20 for under Livingstone. And before that, they'd done, I think, short series of 6 or so on, which is sort of the habit around the world. They tend to do that sort of short series. We said, no, we want to be up there every week. And so TV2 sort of went, oh, well, we'll put you on late and see what happens. And it really caught the public imagination and public revulsion in some areas. And so people talked about it. And after we were halfway through the first series, TVNZ asked us if they could roll it over. And so in that first year, we got, I think it was 40 episodes. And just by being on air every week made a difference. And that was the period when people were really standing up and being proud to be gay. And we found wonderful stories that nobody had ever heard of before. And that was the highlight of that year, was just breaking stories that we're going, oh wow, this is amazing. Here's a farmer, and here's people that have been around for 20 years and nobody knew about it. Here's the guy who works at Farmers, who's been with his partner for 30 years and is now retired, and the little house that they lived in, and those beautiful stories that we've found real people. And I think that humanized the whole story of our community. As an independent producer, we were looking at long-term development of the company. There was 2 planks to that. One was developing the gay programming, because given the opportunities with the support of New Zealand On Air and TVNZ to actually have a long-running series, we had a production office. So we had people, we had the talented people. We had lots of really good presenters, great research people coming in, good writers. We were in community with other things. So we were looking at developing other things. So first of all, we tried to get the program international. So we went overseas to Cannes, and we got the series made specifically for the Canadian gay programming. And so we sold the series to them, which was good, and that was going to develop. Secondly, we wanted to develop other sort of programs, and one of the programs that I was really keen on was developing the story of Captain Cook and the sea around New Zealand. And so with Gresham Bradley, we got together and came up with the idea of doing Captain's Log, and developed it through that process of developing a program, finding the story, finding the people, finding out how we'd shape this and so what we got was the idea of a country calendar on the sea, was how it started. Yeah, Gresham was great for boats, and I was doing magazine programs at the time, and he says, why don't we do country calendar on the sea? And so the boats go places and we meet people. And we say, oh yes, good idea. Is there a framework we can put it in? Because the TVNZ at that stage, we're looking, and New Zealand On Air, we're looking for a high-quality documentary strand, and they had so much money to do this with, and they wanted something that was quality sort of stuff, and they do that every now and then. And so we decided, like, oh well, how can we make this idea, how can we go? So the framework was the Captain Cook framework. So we could take Captain Cook's voyage with all these different boats and meet all these different boat people. Queer Nation went through an assault from TVNZ management, through their difficulty in coming to terms with what their plan was and what their vision was with Tony Holden, and there was all sorts of things happening at the same time. Queer TV got caught, and it got treated incredibly badly by Tony and his staff. They couldn't decide what they wanted. They wanted something different, even though the program was very successful, even though it was reaching the audience and it had consistently for a while. They wanted something different. And so they opened it up for all sorts of other things to happen. And everything that tried to replace it didn't replace it at nearly the right level. Didn't have the same intensity, didn't have the same drive. It was different types of programs, and I'm sure you'll see them on New Zealand On Screen, the different types of gay programs at the time. And it left me with these wonderful, talented people that were used over the years, nothing to do. We couldn't do anything. We couldn't even come up with another offer of another show, because they'd treated us so badly. Everybody was so disillusioned with TVNZ at that time. And there was, as you know, there's other producers I'm sure will talk about that period of disillusionment that we had in our programs, and the fight between the marketplace of what the marketers perceived as the marketplace and the program makers perceived as the marketplace.